Welcome to day 7 of our Kama Sutra journey together. I cannot believe it's been more than a week that we are doing this, and there are so many aspects that we will be covering. And today's topic, I feel, is very interesting because we're going to talk about mental and physical routines that we can have to deal with our lockdown fatigue, lockdown challenge. And I'm going to give it a minute for people to join in, and so that we can have as many people who would not miss the conversation. So when we talk about anxiety, when we talk about behavioral challenges, things that are getting to us, all these things are becoming more and more pronounced during the lockdown. So it was always there. It's not that it is happening for the first time. We all have dealt with our anxieties. But now in this time when we are confined to our own spaces, when we are feeling absolutely lost, when we are feeling completely clueless about what we are walking into, what we are getting into. So all these anxieties are becoming more and more pronounced, and we know this. We know that we got to deal with it, but we do not know how to go about it. And this is where the challenge lies, and we have to definitely look at it in a more psychological manner. One moment. I'm just going to say hello to people on. There we are. Okay. So everybody who is joining on YouTube and Facebook, hello to all of you. Everybody on Instagram, hello to you too. So today's conversation about mental and physical routine that we're going to build. Now, one of the things that I believe in and I speak a lot about is the correlation between mind and body. Like 17 years of my career is dedicated to that simple principle, because handwriting analysis, graphology, is a way for us to understand behaviors and personalities, which is a mental concept, through the physical expression of the body, which is handwriting. So I've studied not only graphology as a subject, but because of which Yoga Sutra, Natya Shastra, other mind-body coordination-based skill set which allow our minds to control those minute movements, and can we use the physical movement to do the reverse mechanism. So the simple concept that I'm talking about is this: our minds and our bodies are correlated with one another. We cannot, luckily, differentiate both of them and say, oh, my mind is going well, but I don't know about my body, or my body is going very well, but I don't know about my mind. It rarely happens to people. I have rarely come across people who could kind of surpass one to deal with the other. Now, when your mind is feeling a particular way, the body follows along. If your body is feeling a particular way, the mind follows along. So let's look at what we are doing on a daily basis during the lockdown, especially in last 15-20 days, to deal with our mental situations. Now, things around us are really getting worse, and it is difficult for us to stay disconnected from everything that is happening, right? It is almost impossible for us to not get embroiled into all these feelings, not get stuck into those thoughts and emotions. It's pretty much not happening. So every time you interact with social media, or watch a story, or look at a post where somebody describes the situation and the horror that is out there, a part of you sinks and imagines you going through that, or imagines someone you love and care for going through that, and you feel the helplessness that the person who is writing the post felt. So mentally you create scenarios which allow you to engage with that same emotion. Now, I know you're not doing it consciously, but whether we are doing it consciously or not, the situations are such that the impact is definitely around us. It's in the air, so it gets to us. Whether we have tools to get out of it or not is the question. Now, let's look at our physical reality. If you're confined like people in many cities, if you're confined like us physically, then you're restricted in terms of your physical movement. Where do you want to go? Like, we generally change our moods by putting our bodies into different things, right? Like, people take smoking breaks, they go for drives, they go for coffee dates with themselves or with other friends. Now, basically, when you do the change in environment, your body and your mind is trained to switch into a newer mode. You're like, okay, I want to get into sports mode. I go to a gym and I work out and I do this. So you take your body pretty much wherever you want to go and experience different things for your mind to follow, because that whole experience of feeling happy and feeling excited comes from your mental shift of mood. But we are talking about the physical and mental. Both these things are really, really important, and this is where things we have to take care of, because the body and mind both are restricted. Body and mind both are feeling absolutely lost at this point in time. So I want you to build a routine, and today's journaling question going to lead to you figuring out what routine works for you. You know, one thing about personalities and behaviors is every single person has different personality trait, different behavioral trait, and what works for one person does not work for the other. So how do we know what's happening? Now, I don't know whether you are into reading, but if you haven't found this book, and if you like studying how high performers think, this is called Tools of Titans by Tim Ferriss, and he is like one mental and physical hacker. He loves to efficiently figure out ways to find his routine, his methods to figure out what works, what doesn't work, what can get him to learn something in the quickest possible manner. So the processes that I'm talking about come from this particular book, where he interviews multiple people, multiple leaders, multiple high performers who have been dealing with different challenges to hack their brains and hack their bodies. The name of the book again, it is called Tools of Titans. If you haven't figured it out, like, buy it online if you like. It is literally like short reads of each person where they talk about how they became the titans that they are, how they managed to build the kind of capacity and mental strength that they require. Now, we have to be those titans in this given situation. We have to go beyond our own limitations, our own challenges, our old mechanisms. Now, every time when it comes to learning something, building a routine, on day one we spoke about this whole idea. When you have a habit of something, you are unconsciously dealing with these concepts, which means you have habit of drinking coffee that boosts your energy like that. You have habit of hanging with people. You have so many habits that kind of lead your physical and mental, emotional, like so many levels of your behaviors and your states of mind. Now, if you want to change that physical and emotional things are not available. So what do we do in such situations? Can we really figure out our methods, our ways of solving this problem, creating, newer routines? So I want you to think about all the things that you do physically and mentally to create a sense of balance, a sense of engagement, and just think about it. What do you do exactly? Now, while you're thinking about all the things that you do that help you build a balanced, calmer space, do you also have something other way around? Do you do things which would not help you and which go against your mental balance? For example, we all have been we all started sleeping late during the lockdown. That's because we don't have physical activity, we don't know what to do with our stamina, so we kind of delay the whole thing. So what do we do? That is one. So let's make a mental list right now, that things we follow as routine to feel calmer, to feel mentally and physically more energized, and things we do to deprive ourselves to feel physically and mentally exhausted. So what do you do to add to these two things, and what do you do to take away from these two things? When you start understanding, like, oh my god, both these things I am consciously doing, and in the journaling I'll ask you a question which will lead to you thinking about what can you do to change certain things. But this is the point. Before we get to changing, altering, fixing, we are taking a step back and understanding a previous level, that what do I do in my current reality. For example, if you are in the lockdown, you do not require the same amount of food the way you eat otherwise. So if you continue to eat that much, and people are like, no, but I binge eat and I eat more, I do emotional eating. We'll talk about that. Okay, we'll talk about that. But if you are doing all of that, then it definitely gets to you, because over a period of time, your mind and body follow certain principles. If we align to those principles, we can get the most of it. If we go against those principles, we do not get enough of the strength available. Now, What is your idea? How do you build it? What do you do that other people, like there are social media influencers, they talk about try this, do this, figure that out. We don't know whether that works for you or not. So I want you to take next 30 days, whatever time that you have during the lockdown, to figure that out for you, because you have to build your routine and stick to it. I speak a lot about this. For me, the idea of self-care is not pampering your mind or your body, but literally building your mind and body to be ready for the future situations, future challenges. So when you constantly keep building your mind and body, you build your strength to go beyond your own limitations. Okay, so pick that aspect and find out this for yourself. What are those things that you're doing right now which are helping you physically and mentally? And by mentally, I also mean emotionally, obviously. Like, this whole idea of emotional binge eating that we do with the thoughts that we have, with the news that we watch. So, for example, if you want to build a routine that helps you be more creative, if you are into writing, if you are into art, and if you are not into it and you would like to do this, or reading poetry or composing music, whatever you think could be creatively pushing your boundaries, and if you pick that up, that would help. That would allow you to take yourself to the next level during this time. And you're like, but the times are so tough, my body feels exhausted. Yes. Now you remember what I said, and if you're new here, let me repeat that point. When your body is useless, lead with your mind. When your mind is useless, lead with your body. And that's why we use the graphotherapy stroke to push you in that direction. Now when you look at Kama Sutra journaling method, is built in a manner that you have the physical aspect and you have the mental aspect. Both these things happen simultaneously with the graphotherapy technique. So people who are on the routine already, I need not repeat that point, but I'm very, very glad. Today we have crossed 1500 registration for this course, and I cannot tell you how grateful I am to everybody who shared the message ahead, because imagine so many people will be using such simple tools to go beyond their mental and now also physical challenges that they're stuck into. Now people who are going through COVID found the S-stroke that brought lot of calmness to their hyperactivated mind, and that could work because we approach the mind through body. So when your mind cannot process the information and it doesn't know how to move forward, the body can become a tool to do that. And that's what I'm requesting. So if your mind is feeling very low, and if you don't feel like doing things, going obviously not going out, but connecting with other people, reaching out to people, if that's not working for you, please take out some time and figure out how can you establish this, your mind-body coordination. Literally, when your mind is not working, lead through your body. When your body is not working, lead through your mind. And keep repeating this to yourself, because you're like, okay, it is not working. I feel angry and my emotions are all over the place. Can I take a physical activity, probably kickboxing for that matter? I require to really find an outlet. So if we keep playing it out and figuring it out, you'll find what works for you. So today's journaling question about the routine. So before I state that, let me one more time define the difference between habits and routines. Routines require awareness and involvement. So when you pick up a routine, when you pick up an activity, you might repeat it every now and then, but you literally take a moment and you ask yourself this question: if I am doing this activity, what am I learning here? How my body feeling about it? Can I build capacity? So you're constantly aware. You don't do it in an unconscious manner, which happens in a habit. So many times you see these people, older people, walking on the beach, and if you look at their faces, they're so upset. They look so angry. Like they are just doing that round because they're supposed to finish, because doctors have told them to walk, and they go for a walk and they just finish walking and then they can go back home and rest. Now that kind of habit formation might push your body in a certain way, but it is not helpful, because you also want to build your awareness with your mind and your body to see what is your escape mechanism, what are your triggers, what exactly goes in, why you like something and why you do not like something. So next time when you pick an activity, pick something that works, that you want to experiment with, you will know what you're checking out. For example, if you like Japanese food and every time you travel you're like, because I like Japanese food, I'm gonna find the best possible local Japanese restaurant in this city and going to go and give it a shot. Now you can do that if you have clarity that you like Japanese food, or if you like food to begin with. If you're a different kind of a person, you're like, I like art, and I'm going to go and find which are the modern art galleries that are available in the city, and I'm going to first figure that out and plan my trip accordingly. Now we do that because we have clarity about what we are looking for. When we don't have clarity what we are looking for, we get stuck into different areas. We do not feel in control of situation. So if you want to look at your physical area, so some of the things that Tim Ferriss suggested in his book, that pick organizing things if organizing is fun for you. Not for everybody. If organizing is fun for you, while doing organizing, you may enjoy the process. Now you can also pick for your mental and physical. I'm talking about activities which can give you both. Obviously workouts of different forms, yoga, I speak about yoga almost every time we do this live, but definitely the mind-body coordination to a point that we call the Kama Sutra stroke, the handwriting yoga movement, because I believe that there is a breathing aspect to it, and there's physical movement aspect of it, and there's awareness aspect of it. So all of that put together, it creates that communion, that yoga, that union that we talk about. So we got to create such activities that can allow your mind and body to go beyond. Remember, watch your food. Please eat as much as your body requires, because so many times we keep eating to feel emotionally good. I'm going to do a dedicated conversation on our Kama Sutra topic on emotional binge eating, because I have been receiving messages from people who are like, I have been putting on weight, I have like no clue why this is happening, my body does not feel as up and agile as I used to feel, and I don't know what's wrong. Now we're going to talk about those aspects also, but before we get there, today's conversation about figuring out your own routine. So make a list. So today's journaling question is, you're going to look at 15 things and whatever number of things that you do during the day, and pick things that you would like to choose consciously with your awareness to be part of your routine. When days start getting like spirals where you have no clue how things are, how things go, what exactly is happening, when we do not have a clue, routines can become your mechanisms to keep hold of things. For example, if you're on a slippery slope, when you have few things to step onto, you can hold on to those things, because everything else is like a slippery slope, right? You can't count on everything that is happening around us, but there are 3 probably hooks that we have, or 3 points where we can actually catch hold of ourselves before you actually reach the bottom of this so-called spiral. Now if we know that, if we can look at those 3-4 points throughout the day, and we can constantly keep picking ourselves up, and that's your job. I fundamentally believe that if you decide to have your own mental and physical balance, other people cannot interfere with it, other things cannot interfere with it, but it's a hard job. You got to do it on a daily basis. You got to learn different things, because mind is such that if you learn one thing and if you decide to go forward with it, it just believes that, okay, I got it, I understood it, now I don't require to kind of learn the same thing over and over again. So literally mind figures its way to out-create it. You remember first standard, what you thought was really complicated, when you reach 5th standard, you're like, oh, that was so simple. Same thing happens, right? The very moment you learn it, your mind starts dismissing it. So you have to constantly keep reinventing the mechanism to stay up with this whole process. It is not a one-time job, fortunately or unfortunately, but the whole idea of building this whole process is for you to figure out your current routine that gives you the boost, that gives you the possibility of pushing your own limits. Okay? So when we look at this whole idea, the journaling question for the day is, where you look at. So look at this long list of things that you're gonna use a current routine that you have, and ask yourself this question: every single item on my list, if I choose to put my awareness to these ideas, to these activities, to these creative, whichever activities that you pick up. So if I choose to put my awareness and create new learning curves, what will be my next learning thing? So if you pick up 3 activities, okay, you pick up cooking, if you pick up physical workout, you pick up something else, you pick up reading for that matter if you're not a reader, and say what are those 3 next level of tasks that I'm putting myself through to learn something new. Because awareness is required when you're building a skill. If you just have to like do whatever is told to you, then you are not necessarily building that awareness. We got to keep your mind and body engaged in each routine activity that you pick up. And they say, you might have heard about Zen masters. The Zen masters would call their students and will ask them to do gardening for like 5 years of their life. And you're like, 5 years only gardening or straightening the stones in the garden? Why would you do that? Because it's not about the activity, it's about the awareness, engagement and involvement with which you do the same activity. In our rigmarole of going around our days, we just forgot about this concept, and all of us have. We are like, okay, let's get to the next thing, let me reach there, what is the minimum, most efficient way of getting there. If we talk to our family members, unfortunately also to our kids, so many times we do not want to get disturbed by the questions our kids have. So we are like, okay, get to the point, and let's move on. And okay, what do you want at the end of the day? We do that, and I have caught myself doing it, and I am like professionally trained as a listener, right? Like you're like, as a coach, you get a lot of training to become a listener. So though I can professionally do it, I caught myself rushing people because I wanted them to get to the point. And I thought that is so not cool to do it, because that's how we break so many aspects of our awareness, our involvement and our engagement in relationships and in activities. So right now, before we get to relationship, let's only focus on activities, because yesterday we spoke about loneliness, and I'm driving on that conversation a bit and talking about your connection with yourself. So if you're alone and if you build these mental and physical routines that can allow you to feel constantly uplifted. So if you're on a learning curve, it's very difficult for you to go down. That's very, very important, okay? So mental learning curve and physical learning curve. So I've spoken about this whole idea. I think most of you know this. I'm a dyslexic, and I struggled for the longest period of time to articulate my thoughts and to write my thoughts. Now every single day I keep learning newer words and keep collecting them, and with my sister we keep playing this game throughout the day where we use those words that we have learnt in our language, in expressing things, in communicating with one another, and it's kind of a game, right? But because it's a game based on learnability, and we constantly look for words which are not absolutely unheard of for us, so we constantly keep looking for it. So throughout the day, a part of our mind is active to pick words that we do not know, and that is the mental agility that you build. Then you pick up physical things, as I was talking about, and you build different skill set when it comes to your body. If S-stroke is new for you, then you absolutely build the S-stroke as your newer learned skill. It's a physical stroke, so we'll be figuring that out. Now let me switch my camera and get to the actual physical formation. What you got to do is use a ballpoint pen and a rule book. That's all you require, and I would request you to do this practice with me. If you haven't done the practice, if you're new to this platform, even in that case, just make sure that you do the practice together, and once you sign up, we'll send you a welcome email. That email has all the instructions required for this stroke, so you can learn the actual stroke. Okay, so give me a moment. I'm gonna switch the camera. People who are asking about question and answers, Q&A session will happen after the S-stroke. So if you have questions, hang on and we'll talk about it there. The question for the day is, think of all the activities that you're doing. Make a list of it, like a quick mental note or like a physical list of it, and ask yourself, when it comes to building awareness and finding new learning curves in these 3 or 4 activities that I'm picking up, what would I do? What would I learn in my physical, mental areas, things that I do not know? Okay, so I'm gonna switch the camera. Okay, let's see this. Can you see the stroke? Okay. One moment. Okay, I hope now this is better. Okay, now we got it. Hold this for me. Hold the camera like this. Just hold it here. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to breathe slightly deeper than our normal breath and start the stroke. So here we are. So whatever is the length of your breath currently, just breathe slightly deeper than normal. And let's start doing this stroke. You're going to focus on actually creating the formation and your breath both at the same time. The stroke has 5 specific rules that you got to follow. So make sure that you learn these 5 rules clearly. Breathe slightly deeper than your normal breath and make sure that you do each formation of the stroke with as much involvement as possible. It's not about how many strokes do you do, it's not about how long the formation is. We actually require you to feel as involved, as engaged as possible. Now, practically speaking, every time you do this stroke, at some point your hand will get restricted. Your hand will stop in the middle of the stroke because your movement is restricted. With that pause, do not drag your hand by doing this. Do not do that. Just simply pick up your pen and start a new stroke and go with the flow. Get your attention again on your breath and breathe slightly deeper than normal. So many people tell me that when they look at this formation, just by looking at it, they feel calmer. There is no ASMR secret here. It's simply the stroke that has that kind of connection with your mind and with your body. Find your connection with this stroke. Give it 6 to 7 days at least. Make sure each loop is open and complete. Get your attention on your breath and breathe slightly deeper than normal. Whatever is the length of your breath, just slightly deeper than that. It's not about what we do, it's about how we feel when we do this activity. So it's important that you give yourself to the process to see how the process works for you. And if you feel it doesn't work for you, then it's okay too. But all we got to focus on is actually giving that process a chance. Now I always say this, that after I ask a question, we do the S stroke, because when we are doing the S stroke, our mind starts processing information in a particular manner. So everything that is happening and all over the place, we open an area. We spoke about things that you're doing which are going against you, and then I got your attention on thinking about how do you build your awareness and how do you create your next learning task in these activities. Suddenly your mind is like, what learning task can I pick up? Now with that question, before we respond to the question, we started doing the S stroke, and this is kind of adding the solution to this open wound. Okay, now I'm going to switch the camera and we're going to talk